Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news. And a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Mikowski of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest news right here in Oshkosh, some great city updates, as well as a preview for the upcoming City Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, and today I am joined, as always, by our City Manager of Oshkosh, Mark Roloff. Mark, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Great to be here, Emily.
Yes, great to have you. We've got another loaded show today. We're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of today's show. We'll take a little break, and then we will return with a review of the council meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 26, 2016. So Mark, first thing that we want to do, top of the show here, is give a little bit of a recap for our viewers of what happened at last week, or a couple weeks ago, council meeting and workshop. There was a lot that went on. It was a very full agenda. One of those things being the dogs in parks, being able to walk, well, your pets in parks, I should say.
Correct. The issue has been ongoing for a number of years, and there's still a little bit of division on that, but I think the dog owners primarily were able to talk to the Parks Board and explain how they felt they could responsibly take care of dogs in parks. So the ordinance in general says that you can now walk your dogs in parks. You have to stay on trails, and you have to stay within 6 feet of the trail to make sure you stay on the paths. And of course, you need to clean up after your dogs. And that's really the crux of it.
Mm-hmm. And so now, I guess, is our opportunity to put the word out to dog owners and pet owners that are walking on the trails is clean up after your dogs. We finally have this great opportunity, so not to abuse it.
Yeah, please do. It's taken a long time, and the biggest fear was that dog owners would not be responsible. Mm-hmm. So if you can demonstrate that responsibility, and even politely mention to other dog owners, if you notice that they may look waffling on picking up after their pet, just mention it to them. This is what enables us to stay in the park. So I think things have changed. I think dog owners are much more aware of that responsibility and how important it is. And a lot of other communities have been going this way, and I think the Parks Board felt it was appropriate to go on, and they shared that with council, and the council agreed with them. So I'm happy that we're able to take this next step and see where it goes. It's not a pilot project. It is, the ordinance is in there, but we certainly don't want people to try to go back on it. If dog owners can demonstrate their responsibility, I think it's great.
Yes, well, we're excited to see some more dogs in our parks. One of the other things that we wanted to talk about, Mark, from the last meeting that was a pretty hot topic was the rental registry and inspections. Tell us where that ended up after the last meeting.
There were a lot of discussions between the public hearing and the time the council took it up at the last meeting, and some of the concerns had to do with administrative issues. And normally council addresses the policy issue, and the staff and myself, we work on the administration. But the concern was that it would perhaps be over-administered, and some of the issues that were brought up is we'd like to know what your checklist is, what you're specifically going to be looking for. Now, technically, we're looking for anything in the code because all we're looking at is meeting minimum standards. But there was still a concern about, well, how are you going to do this? What are you going to do? And this is one of those times where I think it's appropriate to open the door to the administrative world and let everybody get an idea of what exactly we're talking about. And there are other suggestions about things we could do to perhaps make it less expensive, see if other things can count. Some property owners actually get annual inspections done already because of their loan agreements that they have. So if we can look into counting that as an inspection, we're not sure based on the state law the way it was written. The state law really tied our hands, and I know some of the landlords are very upset about that, but we had a program lined up and then the state changed it, and it more than doubled the number of people we needed to administer the program. That's not necessarily something we want to do. So if there's ways we can tweak it to still satisfy the need to ensure safe housing, safe and healthy housing, then I'm happy to look at it. And the council went along with that perspective, and we're going to report back at the next meeting about what we're going on.
Okay, so that's the status. We're just looking for more information and give the council more of that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Before the meeting took place, there was a workshop. You gave a presentation on some options with the diversity coordinator position. Tell us a little bit about what was discussed at this workshop.
Well, the first thing is that the council had directed me to investigate it. There are some people who thought that a diversity coordinator is in the budget already, and that's not the case. Some people thought that this was approving the diversity coordinator. The council simply wanted me to investigate it and report back. So we reported back and gave them a variety of options. But the issue of diversity is, I think, something that we do have to continue a discussion on. This isn't a simple workshop and then be done with it, because diversity means a variety of things. I think a lot of people just really talk about only perhaps race or some ethnic groups. But this was a graphic that I found that I thought was really descriptive of what diversity is about. And it shows an iceberg, and it shows there's a lot beneath the iceberg that you don't always see. And I think in the case of diversity, that's a lot of it. There's some very obvious things that they show above, but there's also items below, whether it's someone's beliefs or sexual orientation or socioeconomic status. Any of those items aren't necessarily visible, and just making people aware of what diversity is about, because people have different definitions. And then one of the things that I thought was important is I discussed this issue with members of the business community. The business community right now is in a position where they need to attract people to our community. We have a very low unemployment rate, and in order to increase the number of jobs that these businesses want to fill, they're going to need to attract people from the outside of Oshkosh. And one of the things that was in our annual survey had to do with, how do you feel about Oshkosh as a welcoming community for diversity? And the residents themselves said on a 2-to-1 basis that we weren't doing a very great job at that. So clearly we need to do something. Is the diversity coordinator the answer? Was really a separate discussion, but diversity is something that if we want to attract people to the community, it's something we at least have to have a discussion about. So it listed out a bunch of options. One was a diversity coordinator, one was to do nothing. But there's a lot in between that can be done. I think we need to, at the city, address diversity issues, address things with recruitment, minority business, doing business with minority businesses, things like that. And then a lot of communities have a variation of what we used to have here called a Human Relations Committee. And those are a variety of the options that are there. And I even tossed out the idea of creating like a virtual neighborhood to reach out to other groups, diverse groups, to find out what their needs are. They may not necessarily be in a specific neighborhood like our neighborhood groups, but they exist out in the community. So it's reaching out to them and using a lot of models from what planning does with neighborhoods, what the police department does, and bring those all together and try to harness how we can connect these diverse groups with the city and how to make them feel more welcome, and then encourage other people of a diverse nature to come, because eventually that is going to happen.
Right. Wow. A lot of good information, and that's just the Cliff Note version of your presentation.
Yeah, I think so.
So if people are interested in seeing the entire presentation and the following discussion with council, you can go to our website at oshkoshmedia.org and watch the whole thing in its entirety. Next thing we want to talk about is kind of a big item, Mark. We always have, the past few weeks, we've been talking about the Morgan District. We've been looking at renderings and all the plans. And recently, very recently, there's been some big news. Tell us what it is.
We were really excited about a grant that we've been working with the Morgan partners on. It's a grant program that's designed for idle industrial sites to redevelop them. And we were pleased to hear just the other day that the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation has awarded a $375,000 grant to the city for the Morgan partners to do some site remediation work to help redevelop their site. And as you know, the TIF district was recently approved by the council, and this is the concept plan, and they've got a lot of ideas out there. And one of the ideas that was getting kicked around was a grocery store in that area. That's just one of the potential uses of the site. The representative of the grocery store made a presentation to the Plan Commission. So these are just some renderings of some ideas that they have. The idea is mixed use with retail generally on the bottom and residential going up. That's what mixed use is. But you get an idea of how we can transform the riverfront on the south side now. And that mixed use, there's a lot of appeal to it. That's what we're talking about, attracting young people to town, the whole issue attracting a diverse population. This is the type of stuff you want to see if you're looking at a community. So I'm very excited, pleased to be working with the Morgan partners to get this project done, and the grant's going to go a long way towards getting this project off the ground.
Yes, so we'll be hearing a lot more about this project as well
yeah.
as the use of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation grant as well, and we're just so excited about it. So
Absolutely.
Great update, Mark. Next item we want to talk about here is the National Night Out coming up on August 2nd. And this is kind of just a fun, it's like a citywide block party, right?
It is, and you know, it used to just be at South Park in one location, and a few years ago the police department said, you know what, we ought to have this in all of our neighborhoods. And it makes it harder for me because trying to hit all those neighborhoods in one night is not an easy task. I'm still working at it. But it's Tuesday, August 2nd. It starts at 4 p.m. The police department sponsors it, but you're going to see a lot of people out there. You're going to see council members out there. You're going to see myself and fellow department heads, of course, our community development neighborhood planners, as well as the residents themselves, showing off everything that's great about our community, great about our neighborhoods. It's connecting the public with the police department and with just the entire community, and that's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so we greatly encourage our neighborhoods to get together and plan their National Night Out. It's just so much fun. If you can put a cookout together or even just come out and meet your council members and your police officers. And it's another chance for you to get to know your officers. I know one of their big phrase is know us before you need us, and this is a great opportunity for them to get to know their neighborhoods and their community.
Absolutely.
We want to also take this opportunity to just talk about the police department a little bit. They've had an outpouring of support in the midst of everything that's been happening the past month or so. We recently had a unity walk that the chief organized, and we've had a ton of visitors. If you've seen the police department's Facebook page lately, it's all about the visitors coming and bringing cookies and cards, and you can see here a homemade card from a little kid, and it's just been really great to see all of the support from our community for our police department.
It's absolutely wonderful. You know, there's a lot of tough things going on around in our country and around the world. Chief Smith organized a unity walk with some community members, and this is just some photos. We had about 200 people that participated in that, and that was on a 3-hour notice.
It was.
So just incredible. And Chief Smith, Tracy Robertson from Fit Oshkosh, and just other community members. I won't even say leaders. These were just members of the community, and just walking not for any cause, just say that we are a united community. Whatever issues we do have, we're going to work through together, and getting to know people and getting to know who they are. It's a lot easier to work through problems when they're not strangers, I believe is what
Yes.
Chief Smith said. And I couldn't say it better. So, and the public has been showing their support for our police department, and in turn, our police department is showing their true colors in terms of their professionalism and their genuine interest in being a part of the community with the community, not a separate entity, but
Definitely.
one of us. And I can't tell you how heart-warming it is to see little kids showing up at the police
I
department.
love seeing those pictures.
It's really cool. So
Yes.
I'm very proud of the police department and proud of our community for
Yes.
everything they're doing.
And one of the quotes from Chief Smith was, "Let's be friends." That was one of my favorite quotes from the Unity Walk. And so it's just that much more reason to come out on National Night Out on August 2nd, 4 o'clock, and just mingle with your neighbors and our police department and everybody else. Mark, next thing we want to talk about, of course, we can't get through CMR the week before this event without mentioning it, is EAA Air Ventures coming to town on Monday.
And we're gearing up. There are so many different things that we do to assist in supporting EAA and welcome all the guests. For the residents, I say, you know, be nice to the folks in the roundabout. They're
Yes.
still learning it, but they're getting better every year. But it's a great event. It highlights Oshkosh. It puts us on a world stage, not just local pride or state pride or national pride. It really is international. 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, so a big salute to Armed Forces, World War II themed, but also just a way to welcome folks from around the world. Our police department gets involved with traffic control and security issues. Our fire department's there with air rescue capabilities. There's a aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle that's out there that they've been training on, and they get out there and just make sure that just in the off chance that something happens, that they're ready to, they're prepared to address whatever emergencies may come up. The presence of our police department and fire department will be out there, and then our transit system. They have bus routes that they gear towards EAA, and it's just a wonderful way for us to partner with EAA to welcome hundreds of thousands of visitors to Oshkosh for this event. So if you're watching this and you're a visitor to Oshkosh, welcome and enjoy your stay, and just know that we're taking care of you behind the scenes.
Yes, we love EAA, and maybe we'll see you out there at some point, Mark.
Oh, I'll be out there a little bit.
So now it's that time of the show, we're about halfway through, where viewers are able to ask their city manager anything they want about things that are happening right here in Oshkosh. So let's go ahead and see what the question mark question is this week. All right, Mark, so the question this week is, why was the Menominee Park Beach closed on Wednesday? Might have seen the tweet that went out that it was closed.
Yeah, no delay in that question. That's pretty good.
No, not at all.
We do regular testing at Menominee Park. The UW Oshkosh Environmental Services Department works with us, and they take samples on an ongoing basis, a couple times a week during the summer in particular. And due to hot weather that we've been having recently, as well as little rain and, of course, goose droppings and things like that, that equals bacteria. And the bacteria level hit a level that was inappropriate, and we automatically closed the park. There's no questions. It hits a certain number, and boom, it's closed. I'm happy to report it was very short-lived. I think with the recent rain we got the rain, and it was cool for a while, and it cleans things up. It churns the water and gets the bacteria level down to an acceptable level. Happy to report that we did a test right after that, and we're back to normal and go enjoy the beach.
Yes, and it's something that happens periodically, like you said, with the weather and everything. So nothing to be alarmed about, but just make sure you heed the park's warning when that does happen, and we'll always keep you updated on when it gets reopened.
And you can always go to the pool if the beach is closed.
Definitely. So great question this week, very timely. Thanks, Mark. If you'd like to send a question to Mark, simply email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us. Send it to us on Twitter or post it to our Facebook page at Oshkosh Media, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. We're going to take a quick break here, and we will be back with a review of the City Council meeting agenda right after these messages.
It is sad but true that for years, some people have been using storm drains to dispose of their wastes. Sanitary sewers take waste from bathrooms and kitchens and clean them up. But storm sewers do not treat or clean up anything passing through them. Everything that enters a storm drainage system is eventually discharged into a stream, river, lake, or bay in exactly the same form as it entered. One of the responsibilities of municipalities that operate storm sewer systems is to prevent what the EPA calls illicit discharges. Illicit discharges are any discharges of non-stormwater into or through the storm sewer. When illicit discharges enter surface waters, they can kill wildlife. They can suffocate plants and fish, destroy breeding and nesting areas. Never pour or dump anything down any storm drain.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. We're going to go ahead and dive right into the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 26, 2016. First item on the agenda, Mark, is a workshop that is a joint workshop between the Council and Sustainability Board. What is the topic of this workshop? What's going to be discussed?
There's an organization called the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. It's called ICLEI for short. And the council adopted a resolution a number of years ago saying we're going to work towards achieving what are called milestones. And the SAB wants to report back to council on where we are in achieving those. There's a lot of potential regulations and goals that are there, and I think the SAB wants to know from council what direction they want, and just filling them in on what it may take, and have that discussion. They haven't met with the SAB in a joint workshop in a number of years, so I think it's about time to catch up on those things.
Be a great time to touch base and get some updates. Then we have a proclamation for the council meeting is August 2016 as Civility Month in Oshkosh. What exactly is Civility Month? What does that mean?
We had a local group a few years ago that created the Civility Project for Oshkosh, and we have a civility pledge that the whole idea is that you're going to, in public discourse, you're certainly going to disagree, but it's really an issue of having certain manners and approach to addressing difficult issues in a civil manner. And you can see the poster that's been out there for a while, and part of it is to reinforce ourselves every year, and Civility Month is one way to say we're going to pledge to do all the things that are in the Civility Pledge: listen, be inclusive, show respect, give constructive criticism. And that's part of being civil, and I think it helps improve the public discourse, and I think it helps us make better decisions because we do it in a more collegial fashion.
Yes, so it's a great opportunity to be aware of the civility issue, and not just for this month, but for the whole year. Next item we want to talk about, Mark, is item number 7, Resolution 16-368. That's the approve amendment for the change of use for the location of 135 Jackson Street. Tell us a little bit about this location.
Well, 135 Jackson Street is the former pharmacy building that's over there on Jackson Street, Morton Pharmacy. You see the building here on the map. The idea is that they're looking to put in a health clinic there, and I think it'd be a good use of that site. And we're real pleased that we have to give an amendment to our planned unit development because originally it was for a pharmacy, now it's for a health clinic, and just giving that approval. But we're glad that building is going to be redone. It didn't last too long. Morton got bought out by Walgreens, I believe, and so no more pharmacy was there. So we're real happy that there's a good reuse of that building. Get Marion Road going a little bit more, and so we're pleased that it's happening.
It'll be good to see that activity going on Marion Road, like you said. Next item we want to talk about, Resolution 16-379. It's an award bid for the Marion Road water tower replacement, $3,624,000. Tell us a little bit about what this bid is for and when we're going to see work beginning.
This is the project that we've been waiting for, the new water tower. So the shots we're going to show you here, get your best shot in because you're not going to see it much longer. Within 2 years, the tower will be down, but the idea is that we need to have a reliable water source in the downtown for primarily fire purposes. This will start, the fabrication will start upon awarding of the bid. You won't see any action really until next year because the tower itself gets fabricated by Chicago Bridge and Iron off-site, so they're not going to be out here until probably next spring. It may even be a year from now before we see actual activity out there. And then by spring of 2018, we'll probably be up and running with the tower. Then once the new tower is up and running, then we knock down the old one. So that's why I say about 2 years before you'll see the old tower go down. But enjoy the pictures while you can because it'll soon be part of Oshkosh history.
Yes, take it in while you can. And it's a very interesting process that they have to switch it over once the new one is up. So for a very short period of time, we'll have 2 water towers.
Yeah, just for a little time.
Next item we want to talk about, Mark, is under new ordinances, item number 34, ordinance 16-395, designating bike lanes on North Main Street from Irving Ave to New York Ave. And this is kind of a connection site. It's a little bit exciting here, this project. Tell us a little more about it.
It is. It's a key connection point, and this is where, when we've talked about the Riverwalk or bike lanes, it's connecting the dots. And in this case, the council just approved bike lanes on Irving Avenue from the University of Menominee Park, and now the area you see in red is connecting Irving Avenue with New York Avenue. Right now, north of New York Avenue, that's all under construction, and when it's done, it'll be similar to what we just did on Irving. It'll be parking on one side of the street and a bike lane on the other. In the case of this area between Irving and New York, it's actually a much wider street, so you can accommodate all the parking that you need, and it's still a busy area for businesses, so you can see that it can have 2 lanes of traffic plus parking and 5-foot lanes on each side for bicycling. So this is really what we're talking about, and now it connects those dots so that by the time we're done at the end of this calendar year, you're going to have a bike lane from Menominee Park all the way up to Main Street and Murdoch. And so it's slowly connecting all these dots to create gradually a pedestrian and bicycle network for the city. And I'm really happy that we're able to work on these. The Bike and Ped Committee has been working very closely with staff and also the Traffic Advisory Board, and they've been advising council on how we can get this implemented. So slowly but surely we're getting this all done.
It's exciting stuff. And these are true bike lanes, not sharrows. We've been talking about sharrows a lot. These are completely dedicated to bikers, no driving or parking inside of them. So
that's correct.
Very exciting. Under new resolutions, Mark, is Resolution 16-398. That's the approved developer agreement with 240 Algoma Boulevard, the Beach Building. And this is the building that is right next door to our building, City Hall.
Right next door to City Hall. The developers have a TIF district that's already been approved. So this is the last phase in terms of our participation. This is an agreement that we will provide development incentives that are contingent on them reaching certain goals with property value. If they hit the property value targets that are identified there, we will give them what's known as a pay-as-you-go grant. And they have to produce tax revenue, and in turn we'll provide a grant to help offset the cost of that building. This is a tough building. It's old. It has some historical significance, so they're trying to keep those things going. So they need that in order to get the right return, because they could go elsewhere and develop in a greenfield, a new site, and be okay. This way they're going to be able to redevelop in the downtown. It'll be a great addition to adding more residences to the downtown area.
Excellent. We love to hear about the beach building. It's exciting. And of course, the last item we have to talk about, we got to get a little bit of time in there, is Resolution 16-399, approve support of transportation funding for Wisconsin and its local governments. This is a League of Wisconsin Municipalities item.
We belong to the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, and we've been working with what's called a program to take a look at transportation funding. And the idea is, the title of it is Just Fix It. We have a big road system in Wisconsin. We're slipping in terms of national rankings and quality of our roads and funding for our roads. The gas tax has not been looked at in over a decade, and we're slipping behind. And meanwhile, we're also increasingly relying on debt to fund these capital projects at the state level. It's a dangerous thing. I'm very concerned about it at the local level too, and it's saying we need to get more funding for state and local roads, and we're going to be doing a public relations campaign throughout the state, and they're asking local units of government to lend some support for this program, and that's what we're doing.
Excellent. So this item is just announcing your support, and we're going to see a lot more on this in the coming months.
By September, you're going to see a lot of activity going with this.
Excellent. Well, that just about does it for our review of the council agenda for July 26th. Mark, I'd like to thank you, as always, for joining us today, and we're going to see you again in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, July 26th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online, and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like our Facebook page, Oshkosh Media, or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, tweet it to us, or post it on our Facebook page, and he will answer it on the next episode. As always, thank you so much for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.